Hey, thanks for watching. It is late July. The weather has been really hot in Georgia, seeing close to 100-degree temperatures every day. Not uncommon to have a late afternoon thunderstorm, which is typical for this area. It's been about 2 weeks since I've come to look into the hive. And I'm going to check this hive. My last video, you would have noticed that was my last ditch effort to see if I could draw some activity up into the supers. While the honey flow is over, I still hope that we can get in here and see that there has been some increased productivity. So let's see what we find out. Just gonna smoke them, let them know that we're coming this morning. I've really appreciated everybody who has expressed interest and watched these videos, and thank you very much for it. I'm gonna lower this camera angle so you can see what I see a little bit better as we get in. So if you recall, this is a hive that I had some hive beetle issues with. I had a lot of unproductivity even from the very onset. Been really concerned. I've had this honey super on here for about 2 months now, it seems, with little to no activity. When I looked into this thing 2 weeks ago, I still had the queen extruder on, and it was about as raw as it had been when I first put it in. Just nothing happening to it. I removed the honey extruder to hopefully promote them to move up. I soaked each of the supers, or the foundations rather, with some sugar water to see if that would draw them up. Now we can see that there is a little more activity. I still have a lot of hive beetle activity and moving in here, and I'm just curious to see if they have done anything. My initial observation is that there is certainly a lot more bees I see up here than I had seen before, but I'm really curious to know if they've actually done any work in building this out. So that's what we're hopeful to see. And they've done a little bit, not a lot. You can see they built out here, but not a lot, truthfully. I can see about this much build out on several frames. That is about it. And that's okay. I'm encouraged that at least they have come up and done some work. There's a lot more propolis up here, a lot more visibility of bees. Let's just take another look. Now see here, you got another example. They built this out a lot more than they had. So that's good. The conclusion of the matter with this hive is then at least we have gotten more activity. They have come up. They are building out on this now, so that's an encouraging sign. No chance I'm going to get any honey off of this hive, but there is a little more life and a little more activity as they're moving up. So I'm encouraged. We're going to let that be and close it up, and we'll just probably won't touch this again for the season. In the hopes that these bees will last the winter and we can have some productivity off of them next year. They do have their brood chamber and their honey super down below for their survival for the winter is good. Their supply is good. So as long as that queen can stay alive and the hive beetles, they can continue to build in strength, we might be able to survive the winter with this hive. Here I am at hive 2. The honey flow has kind of died down. In fact, I'm about 2 weeks away from harvest. So this is likely going to be the last video that I post before I come out and fume them and try to remove the supers to go harvest. I'm really fascinated and looking forward to that. But I'm curious to see what's happening in this top shallow super. So we're going to dive in and see what we see this morning. Thank you guys who have been taking the time to watch my videos. This hive I have been extremely encouraged with all year. They have done really, really well from day one. Those of you who have watched have seen a lot of my videos and the health and strength of this hive. So that has been very, very encouraging. I already know that I've got a shallow super and a medium super full of honey. Again, there's more activity, but what I don't know is, will I have any honey to harvest off of this top super? And when I say super, what I mean is the small size box that you build up on your hive as it continues to get stronger and they produce more and more honey. Now a shallow super is, I don't know, a little more than, I don't really know the dimensions that well, honestly. A shallow super, when it's full, should produce about 3 pounds of honey per frame. So I've got a 9-frame supers. So that means that shallow super should give me about 27 pounds of honey. There's a lot of propolis here. And a good many hive beetles here. I'm going to try my best to eliminate those for these guys. Maybe they're getting bored on the small hive and are trying to work this way. I'm just going to try to help my girls out a little bit and kill what I can see. This hive always gets very active when I come in. So let's see if I can move you a little bit closer to maybe get a little bit better angle. This super I have put on about 2.5 weeks ago or so, but this was about as the honey flow was ending. So not a whole lot here, truthfully, because they have really started to slow down, and that's okay. What I am going to do while I'm here though is just check the hives underneath and see what we find. So I'm going to go one super deeper just to check and make sure our honey's okay. Again, we should be harvesting this in 2 weeks, August the 7th. We've got a community group of people that are going to come together and just sharing this hobby and sharing our tools and resources to harvest some honey. This is very light, so there's very little in it. In fact, I think it's safe to say in that super there's no honey. This should be a good amount of capped honey. What I'm noticing, they're kind of building it out a little further, which is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to pull out a frame and see what we look like. In each one of these frames right here, this is in a medium super. Each frame will be between 4 and 5 pounds. I only put 9 frames per super. That gives them a little room to grow wider in depth, which is increased weight and increased honey, which they have done a good job of. So hopefully you can see that beautiful, beautiful capped honey ready to go, ready to harvest. I could harvest this today, but I'm going to wait and do it in a couple of weeks. Things are looking good. Honey's looking strong and healthy. I'll pull out one more frame just to have a quick look. This is all pure honey. They have done a wonderful, wonderful job for us this year. So I'm calculating, I'm kind of at the point I'm trying to do the math to determine how much honey I'm going to harvest. It's a little bit of a guessing game at this point, but by my calculations between these two supers that I know I'll harvest honey for, I should be right at 60 pounds of honey. All right, I'm going to put this away. Again, thanks for watching. This will be the last video that I'll post for quite a while, and I'll be back in 2 weeks or so. At that point, we will be harvesting, and I'll show you how we harvest and actually leave the bees here. How can I safely, without hurting them or myself, how can I take this honey, leave the bees here, put this in my car, and travel to where we're going to harvest? Entertaining should be an understatement. We'll see what happens. Again, thanks for watching. See you in 2 weeks.